afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. And I will be the host, and I would like to thank you for joining us today. The Tencent and BCG True Luxury Book provides a lot of interesting data on consumer behavior, which we hope luxury brands will find helpful as they continue to pursue growth in China. As we know, the use of data is both a present phenomenon and a trend for the future. For many luxury brands, you have already accumulated a lot of consumer data over the years. But the question is, how can you leverage the data effectively to improve consumer engagement and accelerate the business growth? So today's roundtable will hopefully provide you some perspectives and set the platforms for further discussion throughout the festivals. As Kiki said, today is now the era of social commerce. How should luxury goods be marketed differently in China?
It's a brilliant question because when I look at the China marketplace, you've got a few trends by categories, and the good news for everyone in the room is that luxury is a category that's showing growth. So this is super important. How we behave differently in China and leverage data, I think echoes some of what Nicholas and Kiki have said. You know, there's a lot of elements of localization that need to be done. I always find working with luxury businesses, they have such rich heritage and storytelling that there is this natural tension between sticking to what is consistent and that wonderful storytelling over time and innovating. And it's interesting when you look at some of the things presented this morning, that by using that data in a smart way and using some of the new platform solutions, you know, getting that right content in the right place, but still in that nice corridor, maintaining the storytelling. So that for me would be the focus.
The example of the AI driving a much higher conversion rate than humans through personalization. No, I think it's a very important point. I've been working on advanced personalization programs and AI fueled CRM for luxury brands here in Europe, and it's actually very counterintuitive for a luxury brand to go in that direction. Because number one, will it work? Will my consumers care? I have a single message that has been working, and this is how I create the brand impact. Number two, I want to validate everything that I send. Now, how is that even possible if I start having a machine, sending, not even just creating, but just sending thousands of different copies to, micro segments of consumers? I cannot validate all of this. So how does that fit with a luxury DNA, which is about end-to-end control over execution? At the same time, it works. Kiki's numbers showed that it worked. Our previous work shows that it works. And more importantly, this is what consumers expect. So if you don't do that, and I found it extremely interesting, your point that actually once you start sending non-relevant content, you erode an asset that brands don't think they have, but they do, which is the contactable client base that they have. They think their client base is forever, but actually if their clients don't want them to contact them anymore, then it's no longer your client base. It's not because you have them somewhere, you have their name in a database somewhere. If they don't want your communication anymore, then essentially it's useless as an asset. So I think it's very, very important. And the second thing that I found extremely interesting is this idea of leveraging the sales assistant, the beauty, the fashion advisors, etc., as your primary marketing lever, which is, a true transformation of how luxury brands can engage with consumers, and is completely enabled by technology, but also by a logic of peer-to-peer advocacy, which we see rising quite fast around the world, but more recently and as always faster and stronger in China.
I talked a lot in the past 40 minutes, but I guess when we are talking about what should we change from the luxury brand perspective, first of all, we need to see what have been changed on the consumer side and also on the technology side, because that's well explained themselves. So if you look at the consumer perspective, we see ROPO from your study has been rising continuously. That means social peer-to-peer recommendation is a have-to-go place. Just need to figure out where and how. Especially, global luxury brand. We have such a heritage, and then we have, very different tonalities. We are sometimes a little bit slow on global align with local. How can we do that? I spend, every week a presentation to talking about, the local changes, local transformations, and try to help the local people to convince the global people. That's the thing in China. So I guess in the future, we could, of course, figure out a more efficient way to have, more connections on that front. And also, we're looking at, for example, there are a lot of the proved result already in China. For example, 33% of the e-commerce sales is already coming from the brand-owned sales, and then brand-owned sales majority is coming to the mini programs, etc. So these are all the areas that we could continuously explore. And also, we look at the technology side. Previously, you are talking about like AI technology. However, we haven't yet fully adopted into AI, and the 5G is coming already. Yeah. So what does that mean for us in the future, in the next 2 years? And then whenever luxury brand, every single client talking about, I don't like e-commerce because my client will skip my store. They cannot experience the product. They cannot experience the spirit. They cannot experience my services. And that's part of my brand value. However, when the 5G is coming, and then when the consumer open the mobile phone, there is a video, they can click, they can walk into the reality, like the reality. So a lot of the things, the technology change, and also, the way we accumulate data, the way we leverage data, everyone talking about CDP, how we can, transform the IT infrastructure to support everything. All these changes will significantly impact, the marketeers and also the knowledge side from the traditional marketing stuff to equip themselves to engage with Chinese consumers. And I really believe that Chinese consumers on leveraging the digital tools are ahead of the global consumers.
Well, that's a lot. Thank you, Kiki. And thank you for giving us an overview of the landscape and as well as the popular channels and content format in China market.